Hi, in this lesson we're going to continue shading our scene. We're going to work on this metal piece that it's holding the entire thing. The first thing I'm going to do, bring in my outliner, is that I'm going to hide the trail just so I can work on the metal base. Displayed, hide selection. Okay, let me move this out of the way. So I'm going to go ahead and create a blend material. We're going to call this metal blend and create now a V-Ray material that we can attach to it as our metal base. So we can call this metal base. Plug it in the base material, and now we can just select it. Remember, we had attached a checker material in the meanwhile, so just assign existing material, metal blend. There we go. So now let's start controlling some parameters. I've actually, with this selected, I've actually created a diffuse and a bump texture for this, so let's bring out some files. We can name this guy metal diffuse, and if you open the source images, there should be metal bar base diffuse. So we can go ahead, plug it in, diffuse color. We can duplicate this and load our bump. Let's bring our bump control, bring this down, maybe 0.2. Take a quick render to see what it looks like. We still haven't added any reflection or anything, so this is pretty much what we have right now. Just some textures with a little bit of bump, not exactly that interesting. So before we continue, another thing I'm going to do, as we've done with everything else, is that I'm going to add some subdivisions just to smooth out the geometry. And in the meanwhile, I'm going to bring these subdivisions to just 1. That should be enough too. Yeah, I just want to smooth this out. Then we'll bring this value to a higher value when we actually do displacement, but this should be more than enough. So let's add some reflection. We're going to bring, as we always do, our sampler info, our reverse node, and our remap node. Connect all of them. Oh, come on. There we go. And now here, and now we can come and make this to be white. Since it's metal, we want to use a word. Let's draw this graph. I want to do not a dielectric graph, but like a not very reflective conductor. So remember, it's that graph that it has a lot of reflection, then goes down a little bit, and then goes up. But I don't want it to have a lot of initial reflection, like if it was really dirty or something like that. And I want to do this quick without getting into way too many layers. So we can do something along these lines. Not so much of a K value. Okay. This should be fun. I mean, we could always bring this to the top and then control it with the color. That's another option. So this would be like a more common. Okay, this would be like a more common real reflection curve for a metal. But then we can come and make this color somewhere gray, add some glossiness, maybe like 0.75, add a lot of samples so we don't get a lot of noise, and re-render. So now that looks a lot more like metal. We're getting a lot of reflection. We can always come and bring this color up. If you bring it a lot up, then it's gonna just look kind of weird, but this is looking better. So I'm going to leave it here, and I'm just going to go ahead and keep working on adding more layers to this shader. I've created some textures for these layers. So I'm going to create now like a dirt mask on top of it. As you've noticed on the bump, there's going to be some dirt on it. So I'm going to create another V-Ray material. We can call it Metal Coat 0. Metal Coat 0. Bring it in. And I'm going to bring this guy here because I want to duplicate this here and plug it to just one place texture. And let's bring in the Coat 0. We have a bump and a diffuse. So bring the diffuse. We can duplicate it. And this one is our Metal Coat 0 diffuse. One. This one is our bump. We'll load our bump here. Yep. We'll make sure that bump is not too extreme. Maybe like 0.2. And then we can use this bump as our mask. Quick render. So that's looking a lot better. Let's add some reflection, a little bit of reflection to this. I want this reflection to actually be lean. It's going to have a very subtle reflection. I'm going to make this white. I'm going to copy this guy, duplicate this remap with its connection to the network, so we can just bring it here. Okay, we need to start making room for everything that's going on, so we can put it here, move this guy here, connect it to the reflection amount, and draw something more Fresnel-like. I can even close this guy here. Okay, that looks a lot better. And now let's give it a little bit of glossiness, something like 0.8, re-render. And that tiny bit, I know it's hard to see, but that's really making the difference. If you want to see what we're doing, you can come to the specular channel, open your color corrections, bring this app, and then apply the color corrections, and you'll see that we do have a little bit of specular in those dirt nodes. If we look at the reflection, we should be able to see some too. So maybe adjust this so we get a tiny bit more at the beginning. Yeah, that looks better. Let's retry to render that. So you see, we are getting reflection in these parts. It's just very, very subtle. If I turn off my color correction, it looks almost like no reflection, but we are getting some information there. The same as in our specular. We are getting speculars there. It's just almost not visible. So with this, actually, I'm going to stop here, and then on the next video, we're going to do the last layer of this material, and then we're going to apply the displacement to every single one of our models, and then we can prepare our final render. So we'll continue. I'm just going to save this as 20 begin, and we'll continue on the next video.